Hello, this is Dan Terrence, and welcome to another episode of Embrace the Journey. Video update number 15. It is December 20th. I wanted to get in the second episode of the month before the holidays here. And speaking of holidays, did you buy a real Christmas tree this year? I thought this was an interesting statistic over the last 6-7 years here. The comparison between people who are buying real trees versus fake trees, and see that the difference is narrowing, and we're getting more. It looks like a record amount of fake trees being sold, and this is 2018 numbers, obviously. Anyway, I didn't know if you were real or fake. So put down in the comments section whether you bought a real tree or a fake tree this year. Or in my case, we have a couple fake trees and we just reuse them. So, but we actually did buy a fake tree. Yeah, because we needed to replace an older fake tree. All right, let's get into the industry update. About a month ago, 6 weeks ago, there's a new European Commission in place, and they really only had about 10 days to put together their kind of first kind of piece of legislation, and they call it the Green Deal, not the Green New Deal, but Green Deal. And the president is Ursula von der Leyen, and she called this a moonshot moment. By moonshot, she's talking about the same, well, obviously JFK, but not 1969 when they landed on the moon, but in 1961 when JFK announced that we were going to be on the moon. And this is the same scenario or same kind of situation that she is saying is for Europe in regards to being 100% carbon free by 2050. So the comment or the quote that she has here is, "Our goal is to reconcile our economy with our planet and make it work for our people. On one hand, it's about cutting emissions. On the other, it's about creating jobs and boosting innovation." So they're looking at this Green Deal, again, not just from an environmental lens, but also from an economic and what it can really do for the economy of Europe. There are a couple key items here in their plan. I think number two, they're kind of financing this is a big piece to the whole thing. The $288 billion is really just to get through, I think, 2030. So there's another $300 billion or more that would need to be spent between 2030 and 2050 to get to their goals. So an interesting dynamic going on in Europe. The leadership is got different views on environmental and combined with the economy versus I think where the administration in the U.S. is today. So interesting to see what Europe's doing. Let's go to the mentor topic. I read an article recently. It was titled "Getting Your Team to Do More Than Meet Deadlines," and it was really about setting aside proactive time on important projects. So kind of the situation that they were trying to address is our normal kind of default behavior is to check off all the tasks that are the easiest to complete or are due first, kind of regardless of importance. I know for me, I do the same thing. It's like I feel like I'm busy, I'm crossing stuff off the list, but I get to the end of the day, end of the week, I'm going, did I really do anything this week? There were some experiments that were done that really proved out this point, where in these experiments they would pay people more to do important tasks and pay people less for the ones that were more urgent, but people continued to select the more urgent tasks. And what's interesting about this is we pay more attention to time when we feel like we have less of it. So we're more likely to favor, especially when we're busy, favor the urgent, unimportant tasks versus the important ones that maybe take more time. So again, for me, it's like if I got 80 emails, I wanted to get it down to 20, worked hard for an hour to do that, but did I really do anything of importance? No, those were kind of unimportant tasks. But the thing is it makes you feel like you have more control over your busy schedule. But it's really still not the right way, because the problem is when we don't do what's important, we continue to feel stressed, overwhelmed, and unmotivated, and in the end, less productive. So what is their recommendation? Their recommendation is to actually set aside time for work that is important. So in your calendar, block off, well, first of all, you set aside 30 minutes every week where you actually look at and identify the important projects that you have to get done. And they suggested blocking off 2 hours a day where they call it proactive time, or this kind of pro time. And you block off 2 hours a day where it is for you to work on these important tasks that you had identified. I have not done this. I've recently read this article, and I would love to give it a try, and wanted to see if there's anyone else interested in giving it a try. They suggest doing it for about 6 weeks, and then kind of reassess. In their reassessment, what they found, and I'm going to just go to this sheet here so I get the right numbers. But their survey of about the 50 people or so that went through this experiment with them is that 14% were more effective with their time, 9%, or they're 14% more effective with their time. They were 9% less overwhelmed, and 12% more likely to accomplish more and to meet deadlines. I think that the two items that kind of, those percentages are nebulous to me, I think, but the two things that came out that got me to believe that maybe there was something here: 84% recommended that their whole organization should do this, and they also felt happier. And there's been lots of research around happier employees are more productive employees and more engaged employees. So I think there's something to this. Let me know if you give it a shot. All right, that's it for this episode of Embrace the Journey. Have a wonderful holiday, and we'll see you next year.